Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hero Movie Podcast. It's all led to this, the final episode of Hero Movie Podcast. I am your host, Adam Porters, and joining me today, he is the law. Please welcome the Hartford Hellion, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
I knew you'd say that.
And Rob Schneider still hasn't responded to his challenge in the ring, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear for one last time.
Oh my goodness. Everybody, today we are talking Judge Dredd from 1995. Way back when we started this here program, first and foremost, I don't think any of us thought we'd get past an episode 100, probably, right?
Yeah.
I
didn't know there were 100 movies.
No, that's for sure. And actually, when we first started this show 8 years ago, I think the idea initially is that we were like going to do like maybe every other week because we thought we'll go through all the movies and stuff so fast. There's no way that we would be able to just continue to have a show because we're just going to run out of material to have. Boy, were we ever wrong.
This
just
turned
wrong.
Quite the journey.
Very much so. And as such, I want to say it was one of the very first couple episodes when we reviewed Superman, the original Superman movie and stuff, and we came up with the OG Stallone connection. And then Sean basically was like, hey, this seems to be kind of a running theme and stuff. And we made it a deal from that point on.
Episode 3.
Yeah. I mean, right close to the beginning. That's as good as you get right there.
June 16th, 2014. That's when that
Crazy.
episode was released.
And as such, we kind of put in a little bit of a rule. I don't know when we established the rule, but it was fairly early on as well. Of the last movie that we would do for HMP would be Judge Dredd, because I mean, for a Stallone connection, you can't get much bigger than a 1-to-1 with Judge Dredd, and we'll kind of get into all that sort of stuff. So it's all led to this. The promise that was made many years ago fulfilled today.
And I think our shining accomplishment is we made it all these 10 years without ever having to watch Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Did we not know? We covered that.
You watched that with Bubba Wheat, but I don't think we ever watched it on this show.
I definitely haven't seen that for the show.
Wow. Hey, listen, bullet dodged, everybody. Congratulations.
Yeah. We did it. High fives.
Yeah. But yeah, we put off doing Dark Knight for, damn near 8 years with that one. And so, that was one of the ones initially that I was like, man, if we do this right off the bat, nobody's going to listen to the show from this point on. They listened for many, many years. And then we finally did that episode. So really for me, Judge Dredd was like the last tick of the box of HMP to talk about here. And, I got to say, leading into this, I'd never actually seen this movie before.
Oh, wow, really?
No, I had zero clue about this thing going in, and I think we're going to have a very interesting discussion about this movie. But before you get to Judge Dredd, we do want to say a thank you to the people who support us over at patreon.com/HMP. Those amazing people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, great Dinger Zone this week, long Dinger Zone this week and everything, everybody. We got, you're getting your money's worth over there. And we really appreciate all of you fine folks. It's just, it's amazing that you're here week after week, month after month, year after year. You're all absolutely amazing. And if you can't do that, jump over down to iTunes there, man. 5-star review, AKA Humdinger.
Humdinger.
Ooh. It's been a minute, boys. But we're getting to, since we're getting to the end of HMP here, we got to do this. Oh, hold on.
Bale's here.
That's right. We're opening up the old HMP mailbag. This one's entitled "End of an Era." It comes to us from our buddy Alex. Alex writes, I keep in touch with Bruce and Adam via email and social media. However, I've never really interacted with Sean. Sometimes I let a cigarette burn, inhaling the secondhand smoke, and watch the episodes of This Old House or chainsaw scenes from the movie Summer School. I imagine Sean is a cross between Chainsaw and a young Bob Vila. Or I watch episodes of Spider-Man YouTube channel that probably isn't politically correct by today's standards. It wasn't correct by those standards back then either, to be fair. My dog passed away. No, Bruce didn't kill it, and Sean didn't kick it off a balcony. Longtime Patreon members will know these references. If you don't, subscribe and listen to the back catalog. To lift my spirits, I've been re-listening to some of my favorite episodes as I work. Bible Man, Nightman, Richie Rich, Shazam, the 1974 series, Conan the Destroyer, Super Buddies, just to name a few. I don't think you realize the impact that you have on people's lives. The way Adam worships Adam Curry, the way that Sean gets excited talking about Red Letter Media, the way Bruce gets giddy watching Ginger Deadman. Now that's how this dirty baby feels about HMP. HMP has been the best part of my Monday for 9 years. Thank you for all the work that you've put into brightening my world. This change of format is exciting, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. You are all appreciated and valued. That's from Alex, a.k.a. Brass Knuckles.
I'll tell you, man, Alex is a wonderful fella. He actually does stay in touch and talks to me about real life stuff, not just the podcast. So it's really, really cool to get that sort of farewell, changing of the guard email from Alex. Thank you for being a long, loyal listener. And thank you for being a friend, Alex. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's still the coolest thing is that we go, oh, the Patreon stuff, but we've developed relationships with these people. We've gone on other people's shows. We've, and like Bruce said, we talk to them about life stuff.
Personal text with Vandiver. I'd never know Vandiver if not for this show.
Yeah. It's wild. And one of those people, and you hear the name at the end of every one of these shows, is our good buddy Marty, who tried to send along an email, but we got a video message. But I'll play the audio for everybody here. Hopefully, you guys will be able to hear this one here.
Hey guys, just wanted to send in a video message to say thank you so much for the podcasting for all the last 8 years. You've definitely kept me sane at times, so really enjoyed it. Look forward to the Judge Dredd episode and look forward to the new show. Bye, Adam, Sean, and Bruce.
And that's Marty, just sending a little best wishes for the new show here and everything. And it's
another solid friend we've made along the way.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Let me tell you, the years and years ago, forever ago at this point. The fact that, Marty sends a message of him and his daughter, Evie, doing HMP UK, where they lampoon our format. They're sitting in their little English house with their little tea and everything.
A prickly pomegranate. I'll never forget his daughter saying that.
Oh, it's just it's amazing. Just the fact that we've done all this kind of stuff. Bruce and I did some Dragon Con panels and stuff like that with HMP and Preacher and all that kind of good stuff. So it's been a wild time, man.
This crazy podcasting world has led me to actually be I won't say best friends. It's actually led me to be real world friends with the person who is the current Judge Dredd editor. So this is a crazy ride we're on.
It's very, very cool. And we thank all of you guys for being on that. And if you'd like to send us an email, don't send it to that email. I think I'm going to do a new one, but we may forward. I don't know how things are going to work. I haven't figured that one out yet. But thank you for all. Let's close with the mailbag anyways. Dang it. I keep hitting the wrong button, don't I?
Bale's here.
Let's be honest, though. It really wouldn't be quite a show if I wasn't hitting the wrong button every now and then, right? You got to have those mess ups here. Well, let's get into it, boys. Here is the IMDb plot line for Judge Dredd. As we all know, IMDb 100% correct in everything they say and or do. In a dystopian future, Joseph Dredd, the most famous judge in parentheticals, a police officer with instant field judiciary powers in parenthetical, is convicted of a crime he did not commit and must face his murderous counterpart. This is written by the character creators, was created rather by John Wagner and Carlos Esquerra. This story is written by Michael DeLuca and William Wisher Jr. Screenplay by William Wisher Jr. and Stephen E. D'Souza. Directed by Danny Cannon, who before this, I think he'd pretty much done a Bjork music video for Play Dead. He'd later go on to direct a bunch of TV episodes and stuff. My guess is to get away from people with big egos, but who's to say? Guys, so you guys had seen this movie previously, yes?
A little name drop there for John Wagner. He's also the person who created A History of Violence. So if that's a movie maybe a lot of people are familiar with too.
Oh, these are practically the same movies, this one and that one, yeah?
Exactly, man.
Darn near close. Hey, look, they do both got Diane Lane.
And, hubba, you can't go wrong with a little
no
Diane
sirree,
Lane in
Bob.
my book.
Well, before we get into this thing, we got to go back old school, man. It can't be the last episode of HMP without dropping one of these.
Bruce's comic book connection.
Oh, that felt sweet. That was nice. A little throwback. What do you got for us, Bruce?
The ABC Warriors. Because the ABC Warriors is a feature in the UK comic book series 2000 AD. It was created by writer Pat Mills, first appeared in issue number 119, but 2000 AD fans know we don't call them issues, we call them programs. So first appeared in program 119 in 1979. And it continues to run pretty much to this very day, as far as I'm aware of. Now, art for the opening issues was done by Kevin O'Neill, Mike McMahon, Brett Ewins, and Brendan McCarthy. So there's a nice lineup, a killer's row, if you will, there. And among them, they designed the original 7 members of the team. One of the main characters is called Hammerstein, and he was introduced in Robusters. And that originally started in the magazine Star-Lord, which was a companion piece to 2000 AD. And it's the story of the creation of robotic warriors to be used in the Vulcan War on Mars. And they'd been introduced in the Robuster story, Hammerstein's War, or Hammerstein's. I think it's Hammerstein's. I'm not so good with that German pronunciation sometimes. Or maybe it's Hammerstein. I don't know. Anyway, Hammerstein is the only ABC warrior to appear on film because he is a character in the 1995 classic Judge Dredd, starring Sly Stallone. Now, Hammerstein is described as a Mark III war droid, and watch out, you call something a droid, you might have George Lucas coming for you. But he was commissioned in the early 21st century to fight the Vulcan Wars. Hammerstein's right hand is a hammer that's used in hand-to-hand combat, while on the back of his left, well, he's got a missile launcher. There's tank tracks on his feet to aid his mobility, and Hammerstein also has 2 sockets in his waist that he can use to attach a couple of extra auxiliary arms. But he finds these arms to be embarrassing and he rarely uses them. During combat operations, his head has a grim human-like face, but after he was decommissioned, he was replaced with a civilian head that features a single square eye. Years after the Vulcan occupation of Western Europe, the United States began a counter-invasion to officially liberate the area. Unofficially, Earth's oil reserves were running low and they wanted to seize the Vulcans' oil reserves because blood for oil, that's a story as old as time. Well, at least as old as internal combustion engines. Now, to this day, they created expandable robot soldiers known as ABC Warriors, designed to wage war across terrain and any kind of combat, whether it be atomic, bacterial, or chemical. See, that's what the ABC stands for. The first 2 models were failures. The Mark I robot was an effective killer but could not distinguish between friend and foe, killing civilians as well as soldiers. When controlled remotely by human soldiers in 2009, the Vulcans were able to seize control and redirect them against American forces, driving them back across Wales and causing the American public to protest the use of war robots. Thousands of Hammersteins were destroyed for fear of Vulcan reprogramming. The later Mark II was given an artificial intelligence, with different stories giving different reasons why they failed. My favorite reason being that the Mark IIs were said to be given genuine moral values, and they had become pacifists, as any genuinely moral creature would. The Mark III Hammerstein was given artificial values and emotions such as patriotism, believing the enemy is always evil and that war is necessary to protect national interests. That sounds kind of like a few of my fellow Americans, doesn't it? Just leave it to the British to shame the imperialism of other countries. In 1995, Pat Mills wrote the Judge Dredd story, Hammerstein, which placed the eponymous robot into Dredd's world. In this story, Hammerstein rejoined the American Army after the Mars mission, serving under General Blood and Guts in President Robert L. Booth's robot armies. Hammerstein fought in the Battle of Armageddon against the Mega City Judges. Following the robot's defeat, Hammerstein was trapped under the cursed earth for decades before emerging, whereupon he faced off against Judge Joseph P. Dredd. Hammerstein appears as a decommissioned ABC warrior in the classic 1995 film Judge Dredd, acting as Rico's bodyguard once reactivated. And that, my friends, ends our last comic book connection. It was one of the greatest journeys of my life, but it's time to travel a different road. Huzzah!
Well, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this Stallone-led masterpiece, because this sucker's got everything. We got the Hollywood Studios logo. It's like Touchstone, but crap. The first thing we see is an actual Judge Dredd comic book covers. They definitely want you to know that this is a comic book film. James Earl Jones reads a setup prologue, and it's not even that good, but it's good enough to let you think, oh, it's only going to be downhill from here. But spoiler alert, it stays at that level. We got dystopian megacity, a cross between Blade Runner and Back to the Future 2. It's amazing. We got costumes so wild, Liberace was noted to say, tone it down, fellas. We got corny dialogue, voice-activated guns, floating motorcycles with machine guns, a misunderstanding of the science of bullet velocity, the biggest blue contact lens budget in film history to date. We got Tim Thomerson, newsman extraordinaire, Max von Sydow, old judge, Rob Schneider, a 34-year-old man that we keep referring to as Kid. Marta Sante came to work, Diane Lane, getting it done. We got The Cure for some reason, Rob Zombie, hey, it's the 90s, baby. We got to do what we got to do. We got guns fired in all kinds of rounds at only one rate, though, rapid. We got motorcycles flying through the sky that'll make you think you're on a Universal Studios ride, and you know what? For 1995, that ain't bad. We got wild sets, a giant robot that tears people limb from limb. Take that, Ed 209. We got a ton of talk about the law. Rob Schneider's side jokes, Max von Sydow's leather jacket, who should have its own series on ABC. That's right, I just pitched a show about a coat. You know what? It's better than the Goldbergs. Sorry, Goldbergs. I don't know. I've never seen your show. And of course, we've got the thing that you came for, the spirit animal of H&P, the father that always pretended like we didn't exist, the sweetest of meats, Sylvester Stallone. This movie's got everything.
So I'd totally forgotten that James Earl Jones does the narration at the beginning of this movie.
I had to pause it and look for the confirmation. I'm just like, is this James Earl Jones or an amazing sound-alike? And sure as shooting, uncredited, it is James Earl Jones.
And you know what it reminded me?
Vince.
That's what I'm getting to. It reminded me of a quote that James Earl Jones had a couple of years ago, where he's like, they can buy my services, but they cannot buy my soul. and I guarantee you, this is one of the projects he had in mind when he said that line, because there is no way you're getting him for cheap to do the opening to this. There's no way.
No, he's Darth Vader forever and a day at this point. He's the biggest, come on, he's the voice of CNN.
The guy in the bad wig in Conan forever.
But he's the voice of CNN at this point in the mid 90s. Yeah, but he's slumming it, but that's fine. You know, I'd never seen this movie before. I bought it on Blu-ray because we were doing it for this. First of all, great job on me. Woo! This movie looks fantastic. It sounds really good, even despite there are moments where the cameraman cannot keep that camera in focus, and it is atrocious. Or it's so tack sharp, it's unbelievable. There's so many variations between the cinematography on this, where it is just you can't, he's moving within a frame, but they cannot keep him in focus. But there are other shots where it is just you can see through time. It's so clean.
Now, I don't want to besmirch Danny Cannon, the director of this film, but the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, what a missed opportunity, because imagine a Peter Verhoeven directed version of this.
Well, I mean, that's basically what we get here, right? It's
you don't get Sylvester Stallone and Verhoeven. You have to go one or the other, because those egos probably couldn't work together.
Well, I mean, but basically this is what the studio basically probably thought when they're putting this project together is, it's like RoboCop and Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. It's like both things. They're trying to do both things, and because you're doing both of those things, you're doing neither.
Yeah, they can't decide whether to roll into farcical commentary or to be a legitimate film.
Well, that's also a little of Stallone's doing, because I know that he and when you're watching his performance in this, he is, at least within the first 20 minutes of his performance, he is playing it as a comedy. Even though he's being dead serious, you can tell by his movements and by the way he's speaking that he thinks that what he's doing is funny.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the problem of this movie, is that with RoboCop, there's all that stuff just directly underneath where it's all talking about society and how horrible it's gotten. Yeah. Whereas with this, there's none of that underneath. Like it's just
Now-
like it's so pro cop. Whereas RoboCop is so anti law enforcement, and this is the exact opposite.
Just thinking in 2020 during all of the political unrest with COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement and things, like, wow, that would have been quite the time to watch this film. I'm glad we put it off a few years.
Well, we watched RoboCop during
but RoboCop is very clear in the lane it's in. This one is almost praising the brutality of the police.
Yes.
Here's a question for you, though. And this is a legitimate question. I think it can make a little bit of conversation. And this is the kind of thing we'll probably dive into with our new format. But can Sylvester Stallone successfully do comedy? Because I think that there's going to be a month where we review Sylvester Stallone comedies someday. And I want to ask you if you guys think he's ever successfully done comedy.
His appearance on Saturday Night Live back in the day was pretty good.
You should watch that again. You should watch that again.
I'm not saying he was
good
great
on the Muppet Show too, but I give the credit to Kermit.
I'm not saying he was great, but I was like, he had at least enough somewhat timing on occasion. Was who he was.
Oscar supposed to be a comedy?
Yeah.
Okay. Stopper My Mom Will Shoot, supposed to be a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Rhinestone, funniest movie I've ever seen. So successful there.
Right. There's Marx Brothers and then Rhinestone. We all know that. They teach you that.
I think he's got
at
at
school.
least 4 comedies. We can find another comedy, but
I mean, Bruce, the to answer your question, like he has a certain style of humor that I would call old man humor, where like
I'm quite familiar for reasons I'm proud of.
Yes, clearly. But like his stuff is like his jokes aren't really jokes. Like when thinks he's being funny in interviews, you know, like he's like, I've got the face of a mortician. When he's saying stuff like that, like, you know that he thinks he's being funny. And it's like, where did that come from? And because he's so insanely successful, when he says stuff like that, the people around him know that that's one of his jokes, so they laugh.
Yeah.
The problem is he hasn't had any adversity that wasn't self-imposed in his life for 50 years. So because of that, he's not going to have the comedy chops that you need in order to be funny.
Speaking of,
he's no Jerry Seinfeld, in other words.
Well, and there's another person, you know, it's like we were talking during Dinger Zone today, is that like, you know, after a while, comedy can leave you. And that happens to the best of us. You know, it just goes away. And I
can't
think
leave if I never had it.
Right. And so I think that like there's certain people like Billy Crystal was so funny in the 80s. Like if you watch his stand-up acts in the 80s and stuff, like he is a really funny comedian, but something happens to him in the 90s where he just becomes a sweat act.
And that's guys, I unironically used to like Dennis Miller in the 80s. Like I'm not too proud to say it, but it's true. Like there was a time when I loved Dennis Miller's shtick, and you're right. Times change.
Yeah. You know, it can just pass you by. And I think that as it's something that Steve Martin kind of understood early. He's like, oh, I can't be a 40-year-old comedian anymore. I'm going to have to step away and just be a movie star. And that's what he did. And I think that, and then from there, he's like, I'm going to be an author now because I don't understand what kids want to see in a movie theater. You know, like he's just always a step ahead of the thing.
After your third Pink Panther movie, you gotta realize, all right, time to pick up the banjo again.
Right. Time to go out on the road with my banjo.
Yeah. Like, Martin Short, can you come in here and be a little weird for a couple minutes? That'd be great. Thanks.
So to get back to Judge Dredd, right? So like one of the things that I know about this movie is that they cut it as a hard R. Like this movie is an R-rated movie, and because of time or because like they had it the movie locked in or something like that, they couldn't cut down the violence and they couldn't edit it quick enough or something like that. And so Stallone really pushes the MPAA to make it a PG-13 movie, and it doesn't work. So this movie is an R-rated movie which is weird because it's not really super bloody. It's not super violent. There's no nudity, and there's not a ton of language.
No, and it always feels like you said, especially with the RoboCop analogy, because there's so many similarities to it that they were clearly, that was something that they were, kind of chiming into and everything.
Right.
You feel that DNA throughout the entire thing, where they're just like, okay, but it's not as bad as you would suspect it to be. At least for me, it wasn't.
But you don't have the same aversion that most people do to Rob Schneider, I don't think.
No, I don't. I honestly, and let's talk about Rob Schneider for a second.
I think no aversion to Rob Schneider.
I think he's really good in this, actually. I think he does a couple of Schneidery things and some of the comedy things that, like, you can tell he was, but like, as far as like you take any of the dramatic stuff, he's fine. He's actually probably pretty better than I would say most SNL cast members of that time would have done.
I watched this movie once back when it was a new release, and the only thing I remembered was Rob Schneider with spaghetti on his head. So he had an impact.
Why was there spaghetti in that machine? I know it was
a recycling machine where you dump your leftovers and it turns into new food.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't figure it would be.
I just can't picture a dystopia where you're throwing that much noodle away. That was a lot of noodle to be in the trash.
I don't understand your okayness with Rob Schneider in this movie. All he does is scream.
Well, it doesn't bother me, I guess. It seems to fit.
Hey, it's not Karen Allen in Temple of Doom screaming, so
it just seems to fit the aesthetic of what's going on. And I kind of like the idea that it's like, oh, you and me are the same with Sylvester Stallone. I find him to be not annoying.
Now,
Karen Allen is in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Adam.
Oh, my bad. It was the other one. Kate, what's her nuts?
The blonde chick.
Shaw.
Turned into Adam. I apologize to all our female listener.
All our female listener. That's kind of funny. Shoot, I don't know where I was going because that was a funny joke, Bert.
Let me go with this because I have a note that I wrote down. Like, I think that this movie was totally savable. I think that if you stick closer to the source material, you've got a way better movie, as we saw with Dredd 10 years later, after this movie comes out. I think that's a far superior movie. I also think that having Stallone as Dredd is a huge mistake because you're not supposed to always have your eyes on Dredd, right? Like Dredd is somebody who's not supposed to be a charismatic character. Like he's part of he's a filthy part of a filthy world. And so having Stallone, where just the charisma of that dude makes you instantly want to look at him. That's not what Dredd is to me. So you get rid of Stallone in the Dredd part. This number one. Number two is you make him a side character. You don't make him the main character, especially in this movie specifically. I think in the 2014 it works, but in this movie, if you make him a side character and you make Diane Lane's character the main character, it's a far more interesting movie. Also, that would one, give Diane Lane something to do, and two, you get to stare at a 1995 Diane Lane for as long as you want.
Hey, she still had 20 good years of staring left too. But anyway, I will say
she is still fine today, everybody.
Heck yeah. To build on what you said, Sean, I really like the idea. You call the movie Judge Dredd the way you call a movie Godzilla,
right?
Like you only have Judge Dredd come in and just annihilate everybody at the end. You know what I mean? It's like that's how he is.
You make him like the shark in Jaws.
And I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier when we were talking about Verhoeven, but RoboCop really is the best Judge Dredd movie. I totally forgot that they paid money to 2000 AD because RoboCop had so many similarities to Judge Dredd.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
There's no personality. Yeah.
Well,
you don't see the face. You're not supposed to see Judge Dredd's face ever. Even when Judge Dredd takes his helmet off in the comics, they do like Wilson from Home Improvement type stuff.
Yeah.
You never see Judge Dredd's face ever. Here, they can't get it out there quick enough.
But
I will say this. Other than the way they handle Judge Dredd, the rest of the lore is actually way closer to the source material than in the Carl Urban one, but they just didn't handle the titular character right here, so that drags it down. But if I watch this movie just as a fun, dumb 90s sci-fi dystopian action flick, and I don't think of it as based on a comic book, It's actually a lot of fun. I'm going to give us the hot take that this movie is better than people say.
No, I agree.
It's 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is, to me, way better than 22%. If you call it anything other than Judge Dredd, people are probably remembering it as fondly as Repo Man or Demolition Man.
I think
no.
I kind of agree with that. Now let's talk about costume design.
No. You guys can't drop that and then just walk away from your stupid statement.
Oh, I'm coming
better
back
than
to
over
them.
the top. I'll stand by it. This is better
that you're right. See, the thing that Over the Top and this movie have in common is that they're both really, really plug stupid. Like, these are really dumb movies. The thing with Demolition Man is that Demolition Man is clever and there's smart writing in that movie. This is the dumb as a doorknob script of this movie that does not put it anywhere near Demolition Man. Like, I do like the idea that, like, there's things about this movie I really like. Like, I think that what's happening in the background of this movie is far more interesting than what the main plot of this movie is. Like, the main plot of this movie is maybe the dumbest thing. Like, it's why people hate it so much.
I think this movie is mired in unintentional camp, and I like intentional camp, but I love unintentional camp. Like, big budget accidental camp is a thing of beauty, and that's what I'm seeing here.
Well, like, is it supposed to be a mystery who actually murdered the reporter at the beginning of the movie? Like, are we supposed to wonder who that could possibly be? Who did that?
Now, I think
they're telegraphing it.
As a person who knows who Rico is from the comics, did you guys understand who Rico is here?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty laid out.
He's a clone of Judge Dredd, but they're supposed to look identical. And I don't know. I'm sure that Sylvester Stallone looks in the mirror and sees Armand Assante because he probably thinks he's handsome. But wow, that is like totally. I need to, if I were casting a movie and I needed someone to be my clone, I'm like, yeah, Bradley Cooper. He's got that Bruce look. Like, that's what I would do. And I feel like that's what happened with the very handsome Armand Assante being the clone of the hair-lipped Sylvester Stallone.
Do you know who they also talked to about playing Rico? Christopher Walken.
Well, you know who they tried to get first to play Fergie?
Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
I think that no matter how you feel about Schneider here, you're going to feel worse about Pesci if he's in this.
Oh, yeah. Pesci, I mean, we know what bad Pesci looks like.
Expiration date
we know what bad Pesci looks like because I've seen Lethal Weapon 4. That is a nightmare scenario. That is really bad Pesci.
Who let Joe into the cocaine again?
His last good movie was Johnny Dangerously.
I do have to say there are some things to recommend this movie. Like, even when the action scenes are like a little clunky and bad, at least that there's some practical effects happening. Even though your backgrounds in this movie look like the Phantom Menace. Like, I know it's a few years before Phantom Menace, but it is very Phantom Menace-y looking when you see backgrounds here.
I liked all of like this, the set design and stuff. This movie costs money.
Yeah,
you're looking at it and just like and that was one thing that, like, again, I found unexpected, because the reputation that this movie has and everything, you think you're going to watch a cheap piece of crap, and it is not.
It's $80 million in 1995 for an independent film. Pretty impressive.
That's some good money right there. And here's the thing: like, when him and Schneider are riding around in the like air helicopter or motorcycle there and everything, those effects for 1995 and even today aren't horrid. They really aren't that bad. I was shocked at how decent they looked.
And I got to tell you, I love the Judge costumes that Versace made.
They're a little over the top, but there also is just something about them that kind of works when it shouldn't.
Sean, is there any doubt in your mind that if I had an authentic Judge Dredd costume that I wouldn't be wearing it just casually?
No. No, I think you absolutely would be. I think you would find ways to wear it.
Honey, I'm heading down to the Albertsons dressed as Judge Dredd. Hope you don't mind.
And I have a question for you, Bruce, which is that, like, I know I've read two Judge Dredd trades in my life, so I sort of kind of know stuff. I'm not the expert at it like you are, but like, I understand that there's the judges, right? Like I know there's Judge Hershey and there's Judge Death and there's Judge Dredd. Like I
Judge
know
Death,
all of
by the
these.
way, are my favorite stories. I've got a couple of those trades.
And that's the reason why I bring that up is because I kind of know that those are the fan favorite stories. Like I know that. My question to you is, there are the people who come and arrest Judge Dredd, and they sort of kind of look like judges, but they don't have the full judge regalia on. Who is that? Like, who are they who are doing that?
So, a judge has the ability to pass judgment, offer and offer his summary execution on the spot.
Right.
Well, the people that came to get him are like the stormtroopers. They are not judges. They can't pass judgment. They have to follow orders of the quote unquote Supreme Court. You know how they have the judges that aren't on the street that sit on the panel. Mm-hmm. Well, because those guys are above committing their own violence, they have their clone troopers or what have you that go out there and do it.
I see.
Do you think Lucas watched this? Because there is such a clone troopers vibe to what's going on. And this is based on a actual 2000 AD story, which is interesting since 2000 AD kind of ripped off a little Lucas with their use of the term droid in 1978. I wonder if he said turnabout's fair play, and this is where his Clone Wars came from.
I mean, we know that George Lucas takes from everything that he's ever read. So
I feel like
wouldn't
this
surprise
is
me
what
at
the
all.
Boba Fett movie should have been, or the Boba Fett TV show should have been.
Oh, wait, this would have been a far better Boba Fett show for sure.
However, the mods would have fit right in this movie.
They would have actually felt in place in 1995. Those mods would have been in a correct time frame. At least that adds up.
I can see the judges on their big souped up scooters chasing the mods around on their modified scooters. Oh, this would be perfect.
Another character, because don't get me wrong, Armand Desante in this movie is the best part of this movie because he is just on fire.
He came to play.
Movie.
He came to play, man. He's excited to have this role. He's sinking his teeth into this villain stuff, and I can tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if they saw this and was just like, "We're gonna put him in this mummy flick."
I'll tell you what else too. And not to sidetrack you, I'll turn the microphone back over to you in just a minute, Sean. But watching this movie, I had the thought that I have never, ever, ever seen a role in which Max von Sydow was cast and wished they had cast someone else.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say that about anybody else, but whenever Max von Sydow is cast in a role, I'm always like, yep, he's the right person for that role. And it might be because I have an unnatural love for the campy classic Flash Gordon where he's Ming the Merciless, but I love Max von Sydow.
Me too. I mean, this is going to sound like sacrilege, but my first Max von Sydow movie is Strange Brew, and I love him in that movie, and he is so great.
Movie, though, yeah,
it is, with his big fake dumb teeth.
I mean, why is the dog flying?
Look, I know that you're pressing buttons right now, and I'm okay with it because it is my favorite scene in a comedy ever. I've never laughed so hard in my entire life.
It comes from a place of love, Sean.
It is so funny. God, oh my God, no, with absolutely no tipping your hand, the dog just runs down the street and starts flying. I mean, come on, there's nothing funnier than that in the world, and it's a real dog.
I love Canadians.
Get out of here. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It happened
like an hour into the film or something like that, or longer than that even, maybe.
Yeah, it's towards the end of the movie because the dog saves the crowd from drinking the mind control beer. Anyway, I didn't realize this, but Armand Desante, like if you put him in the right role, he's literally perfect. And I don't know what that role is. Like, he's not exactly perfect for this because he's supposed to be the exact replica of Judge Dredd, just, the evil
Rico
version
and
of him.
Joseph.
And so, like, I don't really know what that role is, but man, like, he is just having such a great time in this movie. Like, you can feel it coming off of him. And it makes me think what his career would have looked like if maybe he had gotten a couple of breaks.
Yeah. I mean, like that's so many times there's like little tiny things like that where you're just like, this guy never quite reached that full potential, and yeah, I can see him being one of those.
Something tells me though he's still a happy guy. He just seems to enjoy what he does. He seems to do a good job. Like he might be a person who totally accepts what he had and he's grateful for it because he just kind of gives off that vibe when I see him on screen.
He kind of do. You're not wrong. Also, Jürgen Prochnow. Has he ever played somebody who isn't evil in a movie?
when you wake up with that
when
face,
your name's Jürgen, you're limited. Or is it Jürgen? I'm sure it's Jürgen.
Maybe it is Jürgen, but I mean that dude. Every single it's one of the things about this movie that's just so dog dick dumb is that it's like okay, clearly you've got Jürgen Prochnow in your movie. Clearly he is one of the bad guys. It's why you have cast him in this role. Like it's what makes this movie so dumb is that like there is not a single surprise in this movie. You know everything that's going to happen. Like from get of go, you know what's going to happen in this movie.
All I remember him as is Kyle MacLachlan's father in Dune. Like that's the only thing I know him from until I saw this.
Oh, so he does play a good guy once.
Yeah, but I think he dies pretty quick. I once again, that's the only role I knew him from. Even though he's been in movies I've watched, I think I just didn't recognize him.
It's because he's not being evil enough.
He was in Air Force One, according to his filmography, but I don't remember him from that.
Oh, I'm sure he's a bad guy in that. I mean, come on.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, The
bad
English
guy.
Patient.
Bad guy.
I'm sure he was a Nazi in The English Patient.
Absolutely.
I mean,
what are you talking about? Like you look at that man and it just says nothing about him but SS worker right there. Look at the guy. My goodness.
Also, this movie, it does give us another positive thing to say about this movie is that it does give us the super rare instance.
Dude, I hate to sidetrack you.
No, absolutely not, sir. I'm going to finish my statement. Is you get the very super rare moment in this movie that I've never seen in another movie where Max von Sydow gets to walk through a gun tunnel.
Oh yeah, like a handgun tunnel, no less.
I mean, they're big ass.
It's almost as good as a sword tunnel.
It's almost. It's not. It isn't as good for sure. It's a tear down a gun tunnel. But I've never seen a gun tunnel before, and so I was like, that's a Max von Sydow's walking through a gun tunnel right now. I've never seen this before.
I like how that's also the punishment is that like they send him out into the real world. They give him a badass leather jacket and a gun and say like, well, all right, peace out. Bye. You stepped down as judge now. Now you're going out into the real world. Okay.
That's a movie that I would rather have seen that movie. What he's doing in the wasteland.
Yeah. The 75-year-old man gets to go out into the middle of Murder City here or whatever and just get,
he gets to bring law to the lawless. That's why you walk out into the cursed earth. Mm-hmm. So here is the role of a lifetime for Jürgen Prochnow. And I didn't realize this, so I was looking over his filmography, but he actually played the role of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a made-for-TV movie about Arnold Schwarzenegger running for governor of California called See Arnold Run.
Oh, right.
I've got to watch.
Oh, right.
Huh.
I cannot, I mean, he's got the accent. Is he super muscular? I don't see it. I love it.
No, they're putting him in that George Michael muscle suit.
I love that. So here's another question for you. You know, originally this was pitched to Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Is this movie better with Schwarzenegger?
No.
Is it worse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably say so. It's tough.
Schwarzenegger might be more willing to keep the mask on.
It's the fact that he's not going to be able to pull off at this moment in his career, like because he's too well known. There's no way he keeps that mask on. He might be more willing to do it, but like at this point here, like he's tinkering with all the movies he's in. Also at this point, like Stallone did. So like he's also gonna want to make it funny.
Yeah,
more one-liners. There's also there's got to be that moment where like he does that weird Arnold yell Yes, that's going to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stallone. I am more of a Schwarzenegger fan than I am a Stallone fan, but I think that Stallone is the better choice between the two.
Speaking of things that everybody does, you know that how in every Van Damme movie he does that thing with his eyes where he's going to hold them up and real wide and stuff. That's Van Damme's thing in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
ooh, imagine this movie instead of
splits.
Sylvester Stallone, it's Steven Seagal.
Oh man, fat Steven Seagal is Judge Dredd.
I am the law. Okay, how about you just step back for a
I
chop
like
you?
that. I'm all for it.
Just
I'm not wearing any of this shit.
It's just like I got my geese. Thank you very much.
I'm either wearing a karate gi or I'm wearing my leather Serpico jacket. That's it.
You get one or the other. Lawman. First of all, it was always great. They were in New Orleans every time, like when that's where his police district was. And like they always put on like he had like a spidey sense or something. That's what they treated it like. But it was
a crime on 14th Avenue.
It was.
Let's go.
It always happened when he was looking at a group of black kids. It was terrible. He'd look at a group of black kids in New Orleans and just go like, something ain't right over here. And they'd pull over and then they would start charging them with crimes.
This is how empty my childhood was. In junior high, me and my friends would argue over who was the better actor, Jean-Claude Van Damme or Steven Seagal.
But I think that that's more of a 90s thing. Like I can remember having those arguments. Like we all had those arguments. It's kind of what made Kevin Smith famous, right? Is that he's the first person who was putting them in movies. Yeah. And then like 2 years later, you've got Budweiser doing those stupid commercials where, like Marianne Ginger and everybody goes, Marianne. And you're like, shut up. That's our thing, not yours, Budweiser. Shut up. I got a couple of questions for you guys about this movie. So, did you guys recognize in the Wasteland Rednecks, the cannibals? Did you recognize Ewan Bremner as the guy with the half melted off face?
No, I don't know who that is.
He is the guy in the first Wonder Woman movie that they bring in for their special crack team, and he's the chicken. He's I don't remember that. He's also in Train Spotting.
Now, I remember one Ewan from Train Spotting. Like I've got a limit of one Ewan per film.
He's Spud in Train Spotting.
Okay.
I get leisure out of other people. I get pleasure out of other people's leisure. That guy. Anyway. He I couldn't believe. I was like, "There's no way he's in this movie," and he is. He's in this movie. I don't know when Train Spotting came out. I think it's a year before. What a sad state of affairs that you were in Train Spotting and then you're in this movie. God, that sucks for him.
Oh, Train Spotting's next year, 1986.
There you go. So then that's better. So if this is his first movie, then good on him.
He's moving on up in the world. Thank heavens.
Moving on up. You went from redneck cannibal guy with face half melted off to Spud. Next question. Why is there a branch of Mega City Bank in the middle of a war zone that's open?
It's kind of crazy.
When you see the bank it's in the middle of a war zone, I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? That's why I'm saying this movie is so very, very stupid. Like, don't be fooled that this is like just a little less good than RoboCop. This movie is like fathoms worse than RoboCop.
What are you talking about? Like, this movie has the wherewithal to set up that failing motorcycle in Act 1 to pay it off in Act 3. You're telling me that Danny Cannon and crew don't care about storytelling? I think not.
Which brings me to my next point, which is that, Adam, I cannot believe that you had such a good time with this movie, since they should basically rename this movie ADR the movie.
Oh yeah, it's not good. That is true. They're filling in a lot of gaps.
If I'm catching it as much as I'm catching it, I can only imagine what your satellite dish ears are picking up.
Let me tell you what I was doing the entire time. I am messing with, because like I can do very granular controls because I have a lot of fancy equipment and stuff. I'm messing with the lip sync, just going back. I'm like forward, back, I'm trying to get it in sync, but there's so much ADR and bullcrap in here that none of the lips are really syncing up super great to begin with. So it is a bitch to try to get everything to match. And as soon as you think that you've got it, and then you'll go to another scene, and then the lip sync is off. You're like, damn, something's not right here. And it's that way the entire time. But that's mostly, like you said, it's because this is just an ADR heavy movie in not a good way.
So here's another question I got for you. So Rico kills the guy in the pawn shop and takes the dead man's cigar and starts smoking it, right?
Yeah.
We go through, let's say 30, let's be charitable and say 30 minutes of the movie goes. We cut back to him days later doing something else, and he's still smoking that cigar he stole from the pawn shop owner. Why?
It's a heck of a cigar, I guess.
Is that like, was it that important that he keeps that cigar? Like we're gonna forget that this is Rico. If we don't show Rico with that cigar, people are gonna forget that he killed that pawn shop owner and that this is Rico. People are gonna forget that. I don't think so.
You see, in what people don't realize is that in 2150, they invented a really slow burning tobacco that they use in Mega City. It's real. I mean, economical is all get out, because it lasts you a couple of months, just one stogie. So they was eventually invented because, people were getting poor and stuff like that, and they wanted to make things last a little bit longer. But hey, who amongst us doesn't want to have to keep buying cigars over and over and over again? So you just steal them off of a guy at a pawn shop and, write it on out.
And just to give you some perspective about comic books versus this movie, I just sent you guys in the chat a picture of what Rico looks like in the comics to see how they nailed it.
Yeah, it looks exactly like him.
Rico
just like him. Just like
right?
him. Yeah, exactly the
For
same.
people at home, just do a Google image search on Rico Dredd.
Another question for you. So, if you've got a super evil plan that you're trying to hide from people, why do you name that plan the Janus Project?
It's telling you that you want it to be a movie, because isn't that Mel Gibson's production company?
Oh, I think it might be
Janus.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, I know Janus Films does Criterion Collection stuff. That's a different
that
one.
might be what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That'd be funny if he was running Janus Films. We let Mel Gibson run the art house.
But he's a Roman god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, duality, doorways, passages, frames, and endings. So yeah,
it makes sense. It's
you touched on this earlier, Adam, which is that Rob Schneider is 32 years old when they're shooting this movie. He is already divorced and already has a child. Yet Stallone is calling him kid throughout the entire movie, no less than 10 times.
It's like Stallone's like kid. What, maybe 15 years older than him?
Maybe.
It's like, yeah, he's like, he's not 50 in this. So like, what gives? With his hairline and everything too. We're just like this young man. Hey boy, like he didn't call him boy. Thank God. At least he stepped one way of not just going like little guy.
It's the Filipino genes. You keep that youthful appearance for a long time.
It's true. You get him and he's short and everything. So you add all those things up and it does kind of equal, hey kid, I suppose. I don't think he'd be calling Joe Pesci kid though.
Oh no. You're definitely not calling Joe Pesci kid.
If I met Burt Ward today, if he's still alive, I don't know, but I would call him kid. Like, I feel like Burt Ward still seems like a kid.
Burt Ward is still very much alive, very much not a kid. He's a giant fat guy, and you would not look at him and be like, oh, what a small little boy wonder you are. You'd be like, Christ, you are a big man.
I bet he loves it that you described him as a giant fat guy.
He is a giant fat guy.
He's portly, he's full figured, he's Rubenesque.
No, listen. I love you, Bert. You big old fat guy. As a former and current big old.
You're not lying. I just looked at a picture of him.
I told you. Oh my gosh. As a former and current fat guy, I'm telling you, he a big boy.
I'm going to start saying that. I used to be fat. I still am, but I used to.
Which,
too.
by the way,
my old Mitch Hedberg.
By the way, listen to a Burt Ward interview. At some point during said interview, the size of his dong will come up.
It's one of his favorite subjects.
Oh yeah,
he wrote a whole book, man, about using his dong.
Taping it down, I think, was the subtitle.
Is that the name of his book?
Yep, it's just like taping it down, the Burt Ward story.
Taped to my anal wall, the Burt Ward story.
Down. I love it.
Oh man,
I've got one more question. This is the last note I have of the movie, and this is a legitimate question because I'm trying to figure out. So, is the clone factory inside the Statue of Liberty?
I think so.
Because they're fighting each other, right? The clones, he activates all the clones. Rico activates all the clones, and Rico jumps out of a hole in the wall, and that hole in the wall ends up being a hole in the head of the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
So the clone factory is in the Statue of Liberty.
Nobody ever thinks to look there.
Exactly.
It's true.
They won't look.
When I was there, I didn't look for one. That was my fault.
The cloners, they got cloners there.
I like the Statue of Liberty thing. I like it felt like a little North by Northwest tribute that they were kind of doing over there. It's good stuff.
I loved his one-liner. You have to have even though it's 1995, you got to have your late 80s action hero one-liner when you throw Marn DeSante off the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I have to say, I'm flummoxed by your guys' love. Well, not love, but not disdain for this movie. It's not like I hate it. I don't. It isn't the worst movie we've ever seen, but like I'm kind of surprised with how much you guys like it. Like I was apoplectically angry with you guys talking about Mission Impossible 2 during COVID. It made me so mad how much like you guys are like, this movie's actually pretty good.
I like John Woo, man. What can I say?
and I'm like, what are you talking about? This movie is so dumb. This movie is also dumb, but there was no franchise to ruin here.
Yeah.
So,
and let's be clear, Sean. I'm saying it's a so bad it's good, campy, beautiful mess. I mean, I like it, but not for the reasons that Danny Cannon wants me to like it.
Sure. I get it.
Like, I am not seeing a Judge Dredd movie when I watch this. I'm seeing an 80s action flick.
Yeah.
Like, this should be a Cannon picture. Like, Danny Cannon's the director. It should have been a Cannon film.
Well, it feels like a high class Cannon picture to me.
It does.
It feels like Cannon films with a budget.
Now, granted, it's Carol Co., which I suppose is kind of Cannon with a higher budget, if we're honest.
No, it's not Carol Co. Because I thought it was also.
Oh, you're right, because it is.
This is a really like a guy produced this.
No, it's a company with a C in the title, but it looks like Carol Co. That's why I was thinking that, because it starts out it's blue and it looks like it, but it's not. You're right.
Yeah.
It's called like Synergy or some crap like
that. Synergy, that's
it.
It is Synergy with a C. That's right. You nailed it there.
Ugh, no, thank you. Well, we need to figure out how we synergistically can wrap this here podcast up, and I can think of no better way. And listen, it's been impossible so many times. I don't know how he can do it with this one, but we need to find out how this movie starring Sylvester Stallone relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Well, I thank you, Adam. I have one last prepared statement.
Oh.
So here we are, Sly. The very last Stallone connection. The first Stallone connection was released on episode 3 of Hero Movie Podcasts. It's our review of the 1978 Richard Donner Superman movie, downloaded onto iTunes June 16th, 2014. And instead of being reflective and talking about what's happened during that time, I would rather take this opportunity to talk about what hasn't happened. I don't see any flying cars. I'm sure there's a prototype thing that looks like stock footage of the prototype moon landers crashing into the desert floor, but nothing has been produced on a big scale. Also, personally, still don't own a pool. One of the things I told myself when I was a child was that I would one day own a pool, but no sane person would install a pool in the backyard that I currently own. Too many trees. We're on a hill. There's 10 other reasons I could give you why not. But the big thing that hasn't happened since we started this podcast nearly 10 years ago is that you never reached out to us. Truthfully, I kind of doubt you even know what a podcast is. I don't think you even know how to listen to one. I'm sure you've heard the term podcast, but it's probably the same way that I know the term super PAC. I know the word. I kind of know what it is. I know it's a political money thing, but that's all I know. And what's the difference between a PAC and a super PAC? I don't know. And I'm sure I could look it up and read something, but I don't want to. I got a lot going on. You know what? I'll make a deal with you. The day I get a pool is the day I'll find out what a super PAC is. So here's the deal. If you or your people reach out to us at heromoviepodcast@gmail.com, I'll write the very last glowing Sylvester Stallone movie review you're ever going to hear. Because I love the movie First Blood. I do. Legitimately, it's one of my favorite movies. Remember when you went after Tommy Boy's dad in that movie? That was awesome. Okay. It's time to wrap up. This might not have always worked, this bit, but it was my bit, and I got to see if I could come up with a new twist for 10 years. The answer is sometimes. For the last time, I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, the Hartford Hellion.
It's been a long road, and listen, I've been happy to have a handful of those Stallone connections myself. It was it's fun. They're fun to write. It's fun to write and fun to do, and it's been a good run. Frankly, let's be honest. Who knew that we could go that long with it?
Not me.
No, and not keep. And we kept it funny. That's what that to me that was the best part is that we kept it a funny thing, like, you know. And so
I like how Adam's trying to give me and him some of the credit for the Stallone connection. This was 100% Sweet Shawnee's baby. Sweet Shawnees, you kept it funny.
I wrote 20 of those things at least.
I wrote
do
one.
You think
it was all
20?
about stud and kitties.
Oh, I think it's at least 10.
I think it's 10.
It's at least 10. I'll come up with a number. No, I won't. I'm not going to look up.
I wrote one.
You're not going to look
kitties.
it up.
It's too far. Like, I'd have to. Well, I do have. Like, I got all the notes for all the shows that we've done and everything, just because they're in Google Docs and that's just the place that they live. But to search through all that stuff and try to find the ones that I wrote, even Google can't help me with that mess. No, thank you. Well, here at HMP, we have our own patented Robin rating system. We went down to the offices. We got the Notary Republic to stamp the piece of paper there and everything. Damn shame we're going to throw it away. But for the last time, let's go to the Robin rating system. Bruce, where does Judge Dredd from 1995 fall on the Robin rating system for you?
I'm getting ready to shock the world because I think this is a movie that is fun to watch. I think this is a so bad it's good. I think this is enjoy the campy fun you can have with it. I think this is the unintentional camp, which in my opinion is the best camp. I'm going to say that this film needs to be revisited and reconsidered. I'm going to tell all those HMPers out there that my one last challenge is to go watch this movie with an eye for the absurd, because I'm giving it a solid middle Tim Drake.
All right. Sean?
I'm going to give it the lowest Damian Wayne I can give it, because it's not super forgettable. Like I could remember some of the things watching this movie. Like I remember Rob Schneider's Stallone impression, which is pretty good, actually. Good enough that it was an outtake. Like he was just messing around on set and they left it in the movie. At least that's the lore.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. And Armand Asante is terrific. The movie that you want to see watching this movie is happening just offset. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like 20 great stories happening behind what this movie actually is. It's so close to being like really like Demolition Man good. Unfortunately, it's not. But it's also like look at it like this. Like Demolition Man has the 3 seashells, right? And when it comes to like the cigar thing we were talking about earlier, what made me think of this is that like, oh, well, you know, in 2092, they came up with really long smoking tobacco. But when I think of smoking, I think of the cigarettes in The Fifth Element, like that really long filter and with the tiny little bit of nicotine that's in that. Like that's great. And this movie doesn't have any of that. Although I think the ABC robot thing.
Yeah.
That is one of the coolest puppets I've ever seen.
It looks really good. It's so great that it's
right up there
practical
with those,
and moving in the hands. So good.
In my opinion, it's right up there with those robots in the black hole, which I really found adorable.
Yes. So for me, this is the lowest Damian Wayne I can give something.
I had not seen this movie. I'd obviously known of its reputation. You'd seen pictures of it at any comic convention that you'd ever gone to and stuff like that. And it just had the reputation that it had, but for whatever reason, just never really ended up watching it. Probably because of the reputation that it had. It's like, this is garbage. No one wants to watch this. Okay, if enough people say it, eventually going to start, going, okay, that's probably true. I had so much fun with this stupid thing. I bought it on Blu-ray. I put off watching it for so long, even having it and everything. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. Cause I thought it was going to be terrible. I thought I was going in for a real slog. But like, even though it's an hour and a half, it does feel a little long, but it works for what it's trying to do. I feel like if Stallone didn't have his hands in it trying to muck about with it and they were able to do more of the straightforward thing from the get-go and not have, this guy come in and try to be, well, Stallone for that matter, it probably would have worked out a little bit better. But for what it is and what it's trying to do and what it does accomplish with what it has, I'm shocked at how decent it and how much fun I actually had with it. It's a Tim Drake for me. It's fun enough.
We're seeing eye to eye here.
Yeah, I had so much fun with it. Now I'm glad I bought the Blu-ray because at another point I will rewatch this again because it is so stupid. Like, why does everyone have the blue contacts? We didn't touch on that, but why? What's the point?
Because they're brothers.
Yeah. Do you know that both of these men have naturally, the same color eye, or pretty close to the same color eye? You don't need to make it blue, unnaturally blue for the both of them, making it look odd and strange.
They're just worried if Jurgen found out he'd Nazi him, so they had to make him blue.
It's just like, oh no, he's got the blue eyes. It's fine. You'll keep on going, Judge Dredd.
I do have to say there is something about watching a movie from 1995 that is like, when you're looking back, because now that everything's CGI and everything is shot in a parking lot and, nothing is real or tactile, that when you're watching something from 1995 and you do see so many real elements in this, there is a bit of like almost unconscious nostalgia while you're watching a movie like this that does give it a bump up.
They made this stuff. There's like you feel the world when you're in that pawn shop. You feel they designed the hell out of that thing. Like you believe
like a big budget. Yeah, it feels like a big budget version of Time Cop or something.
Yeah, and just the RoboCop influences are just so there and everything. But like, there's just a level of fun, and I feel like if it had the ability to maybe go a little bit more towards that RoboCop era and stuff like that, and again with more blood and more things like that you feel like it was almost ready to go towards, but never really gets there. You're like, oh, are we about to get super violent? Nope, not really. But darn it, it could have been there. But again, better than I had any expectations for this thing to be. And I thank you to the world actually for downplaying this movie for so many years. So the fact when I do see it, I'm like, that ain't that bad. That's okay.
Same here. Yeah.
Y'all made it out so much worse than it was. So thanks for that. Well, that's it, everybody. That'll do it for not just this episode of HMP, but HMP Hero Movie Podcast altogether. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in just a second. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet? Or would you like to share a moment? I don't know.
I just want to say that this podcast has been a big deal for me. You guys have become very, very important friends to me. Listeners have become important friends to me. I knew that there would come a time when we had to retire it, and that time is here. But I just want to say thank you for everything. You guys have been like wonderful personal friends. The listeners have been ridiculously supportive, and it has been a very, very amazing journey.
John?
I think back to 2015 when my wife left me on a Sunday morning, and I had the show to do that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we did the show, and after the show was over, I was like, guys, I'm going through it. So I don't know
Everything is on fire. Everything is filled with snakes. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it's true. And everyone's crying. And so like when and that's the moment where I was like, oh, this is not like a usual thing. Because what I'm used to is like super competition. Like everybody is competitive. Everyone's trying to get, like, and you guys' reaction to that moment made me realize like, oh, this is a very different thing. And because of that, like, it's why I've stuck around for so long. Like Bruce, you've said before, like if you guys weren't my friends, I would not be here anymore.
Yes.
I am the same way. I wouldn't either. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even have stuck around. I wouldn't have stuck around a couple years ago when I had to change my name for the show, because I was like, you know what, I'm done. And actually, it was Lindsay who said to me, she's like, you can't just leave. I mean, there's too many people involved with this thing now. Like, just change your name or something, And she literally said, she name checked them. Mm-hmm. She's like, what about Marty and Evie? Like Marty and Evie, have been listening to the show since you guys weren't very good at the show. And I was like, oh, that's a very good point. And so I did. And so for those reasons, thank you guys. Thank you everybody very much. I'm trying not to sound as saccharine as I have a tendency to do, but it was very important to me, and that's why I want to continue, and that's why we had to change the format.
Yeah, ultimately, the reason that we're doing the things that we do, that we are doing, is because we want to keep doing this. That's the reason why. It's like, because if we kept doing the same thing over and over again, 8 years is a long time. We've kind of like
it's 10, dude.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It is.
We've been running it.
Is it fair to say that the film find is retired, so that allows us to explore more genres of film?
I always like to say there's a like I still pay for a tiny little fee to keep it alive. So I'm never saying that's completely dead, but like, we're getting into more, just roundabout stuff here, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And I think based upon kind of our initial thoughts here and everything about where we're kind of going, I think it'll be a great combination of kind of the feel of HMP with a little bit of 30 questions kind of like rolled in there to a degree. And you guys will see what we're talking about next week and everything. But it's like it renews the excitement for it. I'm getting like, I'm starting the new art and music and stuff for the show. And it's like, it's rekindling a little bit of the love. And jumping back into stuff. And I think that we're really going to come in and, because we're not newbie podcasters anymore. We've got a lot of hours under our belts here. So you're going to get, a new show, but done by people who've been doing a show for quite some time. So we kind of got our sea legs about us. And of course, like this show, that show, the upcoming show and stuff will probably have like little iterations and things that change and stuff like that until we kind of get to know exactly what we want to do and everything. But that's also the great part about you guys and stuff, and the feedback that we've gotten from you all of these years and stuff, and the praise for the things that we do. And then sometimes we're like, oh, maybe we avoided anime, everybody. A lot of people were excited that we avoided anime this year. But
wow, because I only hear from the people who are like, what happened to anime?
See, exactly. But that's the great dichotomy of all of it. And we've had so many different fans and stuff over the years. And if you've been here.
Speaking of which, if you guys have a better idea for a name for our new show, let us know. Yeah. You came up with Dinger's Own. See if you can come up with a better name for our new show.
Yeah. By the way, in case people don't know, it's Headliner Movie Podcast at the moment.
So we keep the HMP in there, and we got ideas. We got some things to go, and hopefully you guys will be along with that journey. I appreciate all of you so much, and again, we as personal and stuff have gone through ups and downs and all things in this show, and my friends have been there, and I've hopefully been there for them when they've needed it, and I love you guys, man, and I'm just thank you. Thank you for being on my stupid little shit,
I love you guys
man.
Too, man.
That is it, everybody. Good. Join us next week for another version of HMP. First, Sweet Sean's a Kovacs from the internet. Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portress. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.